Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of NCW, also known as New Comic Wednesday. If you haven't been with us before, we chat for a few minutes every Wednesday about Xenoscope's newest releases. If you don't know who I am your NCW host, Amber, and every week, exactly what we do as we talk about our new releases, where you can find these new releases. You will go to Xenoscope.com and there is a wonderful tab that says new releases. If you click on it, you'll see everything that has launched today, as well as past releases in order, going all the way back. AKA, you can see what has also come off or come out earlier that year. On top of that, you can also get all of our latest releases on Comixology, as well as going to your local comic shop and asking them to carry Zenescope if they don't already. Please, 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 please support your local comic shop. On top of that, we also have a very, very lovely button so other people can find out about NCW. Please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with other people, like, subscribe, have engagement with this. So at any moment, AKA, you'll see there's I always do this. There's the Robin Hood. You'll press the notification bell and off you'll be to subscribe. So please, please, please subscribe if you haven't. Today, we're going to be talking about two new releases. And like I mentioned before, if you haven't been with us before, we chat about Zenescope's newest releases every week. But on top of that, if you have been with us before, or you're maybe tuning in for the first time and maybe saw it on social, we actually give away a collectible exclusive that we do. It's a showcase version of our cover. It's an NCW. Thank you, Casey. That is the current one. Every Wednesday, we announce a new winner, and every Wednesday, we have new stipulations as to how you can enter. So at the end of the show, we will announce our latest winner, and then we will also announce the parameters of how you become a lovely owner of this collectible cover. And it should be noted that this collectible cover this showcase version can only be got on NCW. It's numbered 1 of 5, so there's only going to be 5 out there. So it's going to be extremely, extremely rare. But on top of that, our regular cover, there is a version of this cover that can be bought. It is on our web store actually right now. It's limited to $1.99. I did a bad job explaining this last week, but the reason why we have a couple left on the web store after we announced that we were sold out is because Jason gets an allotted amount. Our sales guy gets an allotted amount to sell, and Joe's like, nope. And pulled from Jason so we could give a little bit more to the web store, since a couple people were like, oh no, I missed it when it went sold out. So if you haven't gotten it yet, Casey, make sure that you drop the link so people can buy ASAP. We're going to be talking about 2 new releases this week. We are going to be talking about All Guts, No Glory, #1. So I'll be having Ralph on later this show. But our first release that we're going to be talking about is GRIMM FAIRY TALES #56. And it is $3.99 in our web store. As always, all GRIMM Fairy Tale stories are always $3.99. There are also 4 covers always for every GRIMM Fairy Tales. And we are going to have a very lovely special guest on, our letterist, Taylor Esposito, who I will bring on in just a moment. And I'm very excited to have him on because I've never gotten to ask letterist questions, and I'm sure you guys have letterist questions. I remember when I first opened a comic book, I was like, who's the letterist? What is that job? How do you get that job? So again, we will be finding out very shortly all of these pending questions. In the meantime, as always, here are our 4 covers. Casey, please show us cover A, and as always in the comments, write which is your favorite. I'm really loving and digging cover A. I like that the villain is the overseer, a pit in the soul. Ooh. Here is cover B. Here is cover C. And here is cover D. 4 fantastic, fantastic covers. If you guys don't know how our layouts for covers usually work, our first one usually, shows our main character. A second one is more of a highlight, usually of an action. So our villain and our main character going back and forth, Sela. Our third cover is usually our pinup cover. And for our cover Ds, usually it's a spotlight of a major character, which is usually that villain. I've seen a lot of the Dark Princess cover Ds, which I know you guys all really, really love. Okay, I'm going to read the synopsis, and then without further ado, I'm going to bring on Taylor. In a crime-infested version of Earth, Skye finds herself on the wrong side of the law, working for the King of Serpents. Trapped in a struggle between 2 warring families, Skye must navigate her way through a moral society without compromising herself. I don't know if this is, I'm actually going to say that this is not the synopsis. So give me one sec. Sometimes stuff on the web store is a little bit different. Okay. Taking over the death of her mother, Sela, Sky Mathers is the new guardian of the Nexus. With the help of Shang, her mentor, and her friends at the Arcane Acre, she is learning the extent of her new powers and trying to figure out her place in protecting the universe. A new threat has risen, the Dark Princess, a tyrant that has broken free from the crumbling universe, not much different than ours. Along with her generals, the Swarm, she began her assault on the Nexus by expelling Sky, Shang, and her allies, scattering them across the realms. Now they are desperately trying to find their way back to the Arcane Acre to stand up to the Dark Princess before it is too late. Okay, let me bring on Taylor. Hi, Taylor.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, did you read this past Grimm Fairy Tales issue?
Did I read it? I lettered it.
So do you read everything that you letter?
I mean, I have to like know what's going on. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera.
No, you're fine. With a weird like angle, it's like both cameras.
I have to read everything just to know what's going on in the story. So I'm like, okay, this is this person, that, whatever. I mean, I don't get super into it. I'd never get any work done if I did that. But you know, usually it's kind of like in this case, Dave, since Dave wrote it, you know, he'll give me a quick synopsis. I'll read through the script just to make sure there's nothing I don't need to do anything special for. And then it's just kind of like while I'm working, I'm kind of, okay, yeah, that's going on here, whatever. I mean, like, I'm a fan first, and then I became a creator. So to read everything, it's like, it'll take me 3 days to get through one book, you know, too much.
So what is a letterer? Like, how does one become a letterer?
You know, I don't know. It was an accident for me. So like everyone's story is different in comics. Anyone will tell you. I actually got my start out of college doing a temp job at a competing company. I'm not going to say which one. You know, just doing like graphic design stuff, and then that kind of turned into a production job, and then doing production, I kind of got interested in lettering, and I was kind of half like, oh, I'll try this out, whatever. Then I lost that job, and I had nothing to do, so I was like, well, why not learn? And then just kind of picked it up on my own. You know, that was my experience. I ended up going to another company, working as a letterer there, and then became a freelancer. Some people, you know, they just start at a company. Some people get brought in by a friend, like, hey, I need some help. You want to just do some pages? And it just becomes that. Everyone's story is different, but that was mine, and I'd never expected to be here 15 years later, something like that, 16 years.
So AKA the longevity of Xenoscope. We've been around for 16 years.
Yeah, and I've been working with Xenoscope since 2015, so a good chunk of the time anyway.
So what are the challenges that a letterist faces?
Time, space. You know, I just sound like the Watcher now. Time, space, reality. No, it's a lot, because, you know, usually we're the last person on the line, so deadlines are usually a little crazy, unfortunately. And sometimes just especially the way things are written, sometimes if the script is written after the art's done, there's not always a lot of space, and it becomes a lot of problem solving. You know, like, how do I get all this information, which is clearly important and needs to fit in here? How do I get it to fit? And for the most part, I get it done. Sometimes I'll call Dave, please help me. I can't get this to fit. Can we do anything? And he's pretty cool, but he's always like, yeah, sure, whatever. But yeah, it's just a matter of, you know, get the story across, help tell the story. You know, like, a lot of people don't realize it's not just dropping things down on the page. If that was the case, anybody could do it. It's also a matter of, you know, does this character speak with a big pause in between, or are they kind of frantic and rushing through everything? And depending on what's going on, that's how I'm going to do it, you know. It's not immediately apparent, but if I tell you this and you look at a page, oh yeah, this one's more rushed and this one's more calm, you know, like the same way you can see in a movie or something where, like, you know, the hero's really cool and he takes his time talking, versus like the sidekick who's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's all going crazy.
Okay, so how long does it take to letter just one issue of a book or one issue?
Ideally, like no interruptions, everything's in on time. It should take about a day or so.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that fast.
I mean,
or you're that good.
A little bit of both, maybe, I guess. The bigger issue is, like nothing is perfect. Like I may have other clients or other books, even within Xenoscope, that need to get taken care of, or life happens, your boiler broke or groceries are coming, you have to deal with that. But yeah, like if it was on uninterrupted time, it's about 8 hours of work or so, maybe 10 if it's a big, heavy book.
So you are Taylor Esposito. Oh, see, everywhere. You're everywhere, according to them, everywhere all the time. So you're Taylor Esposito. I might say it wrong. So
no, that's fine. That's right.
Of Ghost Glyph
Studios.
Ghost Glyph Studios. There we go. So is that just your company, and that's how you or are you a part of like another team?
No, that's me. I did it mostly just for to look more professional. But now I have, I also teach at the Kubert School, so a lot of my students help me. So like they get to use that credit too and stuff like that. It was just to be more of a professional sort of, hey, I work here, to have a name for myself. And it's really just a reflection of one of my favorite things, which is Halloween, and what I do, which glyphs is what we call like the letters in lettering. So
what's your favorite thing about Halloween? Is it the holidays? Is it the movies? Tell me.
I mean, everything. I love the spooky stuff,
Me too, Taylor. I love the creepy. I love the this and the that. What are some of your favorite books that you've ever lettered?
Well, Grimm is at the top of the list because they keep calling me back. I've been doing, the entire series so far, and that's what, 56? We're on 56, right?
We're on 56 volume 2. Did you ever do volume 1?
I did like 20 issues of volume 1, and I did the mini in between it and a bunch of one-shots. So I'm probably somewhere in the 80s with Grimm at this point.
Cool.
Robin was one of the first like titles I got to do on my own, like when we launched the new #1 for I Love New York. That was starting the new status quo for her. And I've been doing Robin ever since. So I'm probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like 50 or so with Robin too. And then outside of Xenoscope, I grew up a DC fan, and when I was growing up, it was when Joker killed, the second Robin. So he was always and I actually got to work on that book too. So Robin Hood, Red Hood, Robin, it's all connected. And I mean, I love everything I do. I wouldn't do something if I hated it. You would notice it, like even when I'm stressed out, I love my job. Even the craziest book I'm doing, the book that made all this gray here, it's still a labor of love. So
it's such a cool. So if anybody wanted to be a letterist, what advice would you have for them?
Be very organized. Let's be honest. And I mean, it's only going to work as well as your collaborators are. But it helps if you got your schedule and you're like, okay, oh, you're going to be late? No problem. I can move this around, whatever. We're fine. Graphic design is a good background to have for it. And just be really, really relaxed. The worst thing you can do is be someone who gets stressed easily and is like, what am I going to do now? Like, I'm going crazy. Just go with it. You'll get things done. And kind of helps to be a night person.
How do they get started in being a letterist?
Like I said, for me, it was just like I saw the lettering files and I was like, this is kind of cool. And I kind of did my own research. A lot of my students, it's just because they came in through the school, and they were like, oh, you have to take a little bit of everything. Here's lettering. And some of them are like, oh, I actually really like this. I didn't think about it as a career. So I've noticed that way. And then other times, like, a few friends of mine was like, their friend was making a comic and they're like, I need to letter this, but I don't know how to use Illustrator. Can you help me out? And they just kind of fall into it.
Okay. So last question. Who is your favorite Xenoscope character in the Grimm Fairy Tale universe?
I don't know. It's hard. I want to say Robin, but Liesel.
Liesel.
She's really cool too. I mean, they're all fun. I can't pick anybody.
There's a funny question that just came through that I'm going to ask.
Okay.
What is your best friend as a letterer? Paint, Photoshop, meme generator?
Photoshop will get you yeeted into the sun. No, it's Illustrator is the industry standard. Some folks do use Affinity Designer, which is like comparable. It doesn't have everything I need. Otherwise, I would have switched a long time ago. But you just need a vector program. And I'm not going to get into that's a whole other conversation. Your head's going to explode. It's not fun.
Controversial question from Noah. What does Taylor think of Comic Sans?
Oh, it's just so sad that Noah just died. Comic Sans. All right. So I have softened on my opinion on Comic Sans. I've heard from friends of mine who are educators that it's actually really useful for little kids who struggle with reading. So I will give it a pass for that, but never use it in a comic.
It was so funny when I started out, when I went to school for journalism, and when I had to write all my stories, like the first rule they all teach you is like the first slide was like Comic Sans, there was a big X, and the next one was like your best friend, Helvetica.
I mean, there's a reason why Helvetica works. I did hear a good trick though. I mean, I'm long out of school, so I never got to use it. But when you're writing a paper, write it in Comic Sans first, and then before you submit it, switch it to Helvetica. It makes the writing process go a lot smoother.
Oh, interesting. Good to know. Okay, I have another question. Before we leave, I was like, how many books do you letter per month?
Depends on the month. What I try to do is I try to do one book a day, and a book is about 20 pages, and I only work Monday through Friday. So theoretically, I should be doing 20 a month. I'm keeping count this year how many pages I do, and so far I am at, let me just see my calendar here. I am at 500 pages, so I've already done an extra 10 books by that count. And the month isn't over.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Taylor. And I'm definitely going to have you back on because, you know, this is like a good point, but if you ever open a Xenoscope book, you'll immediately you'll see letterer and it'll say Taylor's name. So I feel like you're a core part of our team. You're a core part of other people's team, but you're mostly a core part of our team.
I mean, I can't complain. Xenoscope's been good to me, and I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor. I'll have you on very, very soon.
Yeah, let me know. I'll be happy to come back.
Bye.
Bye.
Again, I just had our letterer, Taylor Esposito, on. So if you missed that, you're going to want to go back and rewatch. It is a very, very interesting field. And I always get interested by random niche professions like that. Like, how does one come into this? Because everybody knows artists, everybody knows writers, but not many people know about letterists and where they go from there. So again, we were talking about Grimm Fairy Tale number 56. We didn't dive too much into the story, but I'll give you a quick update about what's going on. Seal's just moving back and forth. All these realms are changing so much. And we continue to move all of the time. Fix the lid on I think the lid is on my short box, right? Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Anyway, there's been lots of hopping between realms, and this story opens up with Shang, and we have a really good focus on Shang and where we are in this battle with the Dark Princess. So if you guys are carrying on and continuing to read Grimm Fairy Tales number 56, or you could hop in because we're so all over the place in this storyline. We're switching from world to world to world. That it's really exciting to see so many different versions of different characters and see how characters react to different elements in different worlds that they're not used to. Oh, so she wears, okay, hold on. I guess I never noticed this. There we go. Is everybody happy now? Except now you have to see the tape part. I feel like I should turn this way. Much better. Okay, anyway, That is not our only release today. We also have All Guts, No Glory #1, which was a very, very highly anticipated release. Everybody's very excited about it. It is $5.99 in our web store. It is written by our own co-founder, Ralph Tedesco. We have 2 covers, and as always, please drop in the comments what your favorite cover is. Here is cover A. And here is cover B. Cover A is like, gives you the, oh, here's your 2 main characters and they're cleaning everything up. And then cover B is like, there's like 10 different things going on in this cover. We see a girl. We see somebody who totally looks like Josh Gad. We have our 2 characters. So it kind of like foreshadows what's going to happen in All Guts, No Glory. Before I bring Ralph on, I am going to read the synopsis. Unbeknownst to the general population, there are highly trained military teams who bravely protect us from dozens of species of monsters that don't know we exist. And then there are the guys who clean it up. Craig and Jimmy are those guys. And while Craig has accepted his lot in life, Jimmy, on the other hand, desperately wishes to one day become an elite monster hunter himself. But when Craig and Jimmy stumble into a charming vampire named Sarah, charming? I don't know if I would have used that. Anyway, they'll be forced to decide if they should risk everything to help save her soul. Again, it is $5.99 in our web store, and it was written by our own Ralph Tedesco. So, without further ado, I will be bringing on Ralph.
Hello. I feel like Sarah's charming.
I feel like when we first meet her, Sarah's not charming.
No, maybe not. Look at bully Ralph. See, we know. We know.
Okay, so tell me about the main characters and who would you compare them to in like real life?
That's tough. Well, this is like it's a buddy comedy, obviously. The concept of Jimmy was always like supposed to be, I kind of saw him a little bit. I'm trying to think of a good comp of like a movie. I don't know anybody like Jimmy in real life, but he's like our lead. He's kind of figuring stuff out, coming of age sort of like story where he doesn't really know what he wants. He just knows he doesn't really want to go to college, and his mom and Mr. Parker, his guidance counselor, are kind of like pushing that. And he's kind of like, well, it's not really what I want to do. He's enamored by the hunters, even though he's just a cleaner. So he's like, kind of like, do I join the military? What do I want? And he's bullied. So he's been bullied in class. You can kind of see in the beginning of the issue, the monster hunters themselves kind of bully the cleaners because they're calling them janitors and, kind of looking down on them. So we're setting up that dynamic of like, why, the hunters, this sort of class divide. Hunters think they're super badass and like kind of, what's the, it gives us a way to root for Jimmy and also for Craig. And you kind of see Craig sort of the grizzled vet. He's been around the block. He knows what's up. And there's probably a little bit more to Craig than meets the eye. So I just think like I guess a bad comparison would be Breaking Bad, Walter White and Jesse, but more comedic, obviously.
So the logo for All Guts, No Glory is obviously a reflection of the story. Casey, do you want to pop up one of the covers really fast so we can take a look at it? Thank you. Do you ever, as a writer or as a co-founder, have a say in like how the logo is a reflection of the story, or does that just come up from the person who creates the logo?
Well, Chris Cote created that, I think. So that one, I don't even know if I think Chris sent it to us and I loved it right away. So I just kind of left it alone. Sometimes I'll make adjustments to, like, Chris usually nails them. He's really good at logos. So like, yeah, usually I'll say, oh, I think it needs this or something's off. Or if he usually gets it close. So if he gets it close and there's just a few tweaks, I'll give him a few notes on it. That one I really like.
In the beginning of the story, I I was reading the way I worded this question. I'm like, I don't know why I worded it this way, so I'm going to reword it while I'm talking. But in the beginning of the story, we meet our like hunter team that literally just kills a bunch of people. Should we know anybody on this hunter team already, or is this their first introduction?
This is a brand new hunter team. Never been seen before. It's kind of, we're connecting the universes. So like if you read Mango and the Bunny Man and you read this, you'll see a similar tone to the both of them. They live in the same world where kind of monsters are amongst us, but like hide behind the scenes. In our Monster Hunters universe, if you've read any of the Monster Hunter stuff, there's different factions of Monster Hunters. There's private Monster Hunter groups. This one's sort of sanctioned by the government. So like they all kind of like the series will tie into other issues or other titles we're publishing, but in this series, there's no crossover in characters other than using the book. We use the Monster Hunter Survival Guide book, obviously, in this series as sort of like just I don't say as a prop. It's just part of the world, part of the universe. Jimmy's obsessed with reading the Monster Hunter Survival Guide, and his partner Craig, the old grizzled veteran's kind of like, that book's bullshit. Like, why are you reading that book? And they kind of refer to it a few times. You see Jimmy reading it in bed one night, and that we're playing with a lot of that tie-in with the Monster Hunters.
So I don't normally make predictions on stories, but as I was reading, I was wondering if all of the Monster Hunters are good, or if we're gonna eventually see that maybe there's something bad about them as well.
There's always bad monster. There's always bad apples. You can see in this series, like there's a couple jerks on the team, and then there's a couple cool like people, like the leader, the captain of the team. She's like straightforward. She's like, she's got her shit together. She runs a tight ship, but like there are a lot of these like bros who like, you would think like would probably be attracted to being Monster Hunters or think they're badasses. So like they don't, they kind of like, they're just kind of jerks. So we're setting a little bit of that up. We also kind of lay the seeds, and Chuck, I saw his comment about who was the fat guy in the background of the cover. He's going to play a more prominent role. He's a singer. He's a rockician, which is he's a magician. And he will come to play more into the series as you read issue 2 and issue 3.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tease about this story?
Read it. That's it. It's really good. I think you guys will dig it. If you like comedy with your horror, if you like Mango and Bunny Man, I think you'll like this. So I hope you guys check it out.
Awesome. Okay, that was it. You're free to go.
Okay, that's it. Thanks, Amber.
Bye. Again, we are talking about All Guts, No Glory, #1. If you didn't just catch the interview, make sure that you go back and rewatch. This is a really, really great read. It's a very emotional coming of age story of a young kid who is in high school, who is trying to make a couple of bucks so he can go to college. And he is working with an older I almost said janitor, which was like the make fun of. Don't listen to that. Working with an older cleaner, and they find themselves in a little bit of a predicament when they clean up a story, and maybe there is a monster that maybe adds on to issue 2 and 3. So it is a very emotional story. It was very, very well written. There is a To Be Fair in it, so you're going to want to make sure that you read it so you can check it out. But yes, I love when Casey pops up my To Be Fair banner. Again, so today we had 2 releases that we were talking about. We were talking about GRIMM FAIRY TALES, Volume 2, number 56, our ongoing story of jumping in between realms, $3.99 in our web store. We were also talking about All Guts, No Glory, #1. So that is $5.99 in our web store right now. Next week, we have, I believe, our Belle #25 annual. Yeah, I like the stores that we added. I was like, I wonder if we have any other releases coming out, but that's it. So we will have our wonderful writer, Dave, back on so we can talk about Belle's very iconic annual #25 issue. That is a big milestone that she's hitting. Dave showed me one of the pictures or like one of the pages. I don't know if it was for number 25 for a future Bell story featuring Hershey. And you guys are going to laugh when you see one of those pages. I know that you guys are all huge Bell annual. Oh, I just want to quickly shout out John's comment right here. He is the interior artist for All Guts No Glory. He also did Man Goat and the Bunny Man, and he crushed it. Did an absolute fantastic job. Okay, so this is going to be kind of wrapped up really quick, and we're going to be back under our normal 40 minutes instead of over our hour that it has recently been on NCW. So this week's winner is Christopher West. He is our lovely person that won on the parameters of Xenoscope Black. Yay, Christopher. You have won the NCW collectible cover. Next week's parameters are going to be, I don't know if Casey has a fancy banner for it. There we go. Thank you. Now that 2021 is behind us, send an email to our lovely Casey, no longer the intern, Casey with a job, casey.brennan@zenescope.com about what your favorite release of 2021 was. A random winner will be selected. Could be any of the releases I talked about, any of the releases that I didn't talk about because I started at the end of March. But so make sure that you send a note. So you have a chance to win, like I said, a showcase version of that incredible Elias Chadzudis Robin Hood cover. It will be labeled 1 of 5. Our last week's winner was Catherine Joseph. Our first week's winner was Matthew Gray. Christopher West just won. So I'm excited to see who our winner is next week. That 199 limited cover, by the way, like I mentioned, is almost sold out. The only reason why there have been a couple of more added. Yay, Christopher. And I love that you're watching live. So that makes me really excited. The only reason why it was sold out and then unsold out was because on top of that, we have a bunch of subscriptions, and Joe's actually going to come on next week to talk about the subscriptions. Oh, am I back? I'm back. I think I froze. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, I'm back. Anyway, Joe's going to talk a little bit more about some subscriptions that we have upcoming, like I've already talked about, but our art print subscription did just drop yesterday, and we do have a subscription rewards program for all of our subscriptions. Thank you for showing the wonderful art print subscription. Ooh, Casey's going through all of these. So make sure that everyone's texting me being like, your video just cut out. I am so sorry. I don't know what happened. How weird. So we're going to talk more about subscriptions next week, but I've mentioned it a bunch of times. Like I said, the more you subscribe, the more you earn. Every time you subscribe, you get a Zen buck. Those Zen bucks will then go towards future purchases that will have of a rewards folder, as we like to say, like our Chuck E. Cheese tier. Like you play the games, you get tickets. With those tickets, you get new prizes. On top of that, our retailer live stream in person will be happening next Tuesday. So if you're in Feasterville, make sure that you stop by the store between 2 to 5. Dave will be signing. We'll be selling some stuff, and we'll be doing retailer live stream live. This will be our second retailer live stream of the year, but it's going to be our first retailer live of 2022. Our movie club is tomorrow. We will be talking about Resident Evil, and we will be unveiling our latest movie club cover. Casey and Noah will be in attendance there, as well as our normal movie club panel. Our next VCon is taking place in 2 weeks, which will be the week of February. I almost said February 10th. I know that the date is February 10th. Whatever, February 10th, February 11th. So make sure that you join us then. And I think I might have gone through all the major announcements. So thank you guys so much for taking place and joining us on NCW this past week. As always, thank you so much for coming for the covers and stay for the stories like you do at Xenoscope. So I will see you guys all next Wednesday. Bye, everybody. And don't forget to email Casey about the latest parameters on the collectible giveaway. Bye.